cashless policy works outside Nigeria, not in Nigeria.
Oh.
Yes.
No. Why did
I'm
you
telling
say
the truth.
so?
And I will give you a very good example. Where I work, a colleague of mine have not seen check for over 27 years. Check for over 27 years. A colleague of mine has not seen check for over. In fact, I do training on check where I work every week for them because they don't see it. What they do is transfers, fast payments, digital payments, transfers, credit card, debit card, and that is cashless environment. In Nigeria, as I'm talking to you, before I left Nigeria, I only have just one debit card. I don't use credit card. I can count a lot of people that uses credit card in Nigeria. So most of all those cash that are being mopped up by CBN now, tell me, where are they coming from?
Now we'll start this conversation taking our quote from Sol Luckman, who is a long-time researcher of shamanism and spirituality. He once said, "Cashless society and dystopian civilization where you can be sure the real theorists have won." Okay. Our next quote is from Dan Arile. He is an Israeli-American professor and author. He once said, "The more cashless our society becomes, the more our moral compass slips." All right. Our next quote is from Dennis Mark Praja. He is an American conservative radio talk show host and writer, who once said, "I believe that free money is as addictive as cocaine." What exactly does all of this mean? Let's see how it actually relates what we will be discussing today. Very warm greetings and welcome to D Conversation. We're reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Now, from poor logistics to trust issues and racketeering, efforts by Central Bank of Nigeria to continue with strict enforcement of the Naira redesign policy seems to have come under siege. The old notes are expected to be out of circulation, ceasing to be legal tenders in the next few days. However, most Nigerians are yet to receive the new notes, even though some say that it has actually been disbursed into the ATMs. Most business people have refused to accept it as a legal tender. Most people also complain that the counterfeit is much and far more than the real money itself. While some say that the new money is washable and has the tendency to stain your shirt, your t-shirt, or your white handkerchief, or your white shirt. Also, it is alleged that Nigeria's financial hub and headquarters of the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC are yet to see any of the new banknotes, much less receive one. All of this plus more tops our charts here on the conversation today with my guest, Abimbola Ajinibi, who is an investment banker, and Adeyemi Pelumi, who is a financial and risk expert, who will join us virtually from the United Kingdom. We'll kickstart this conversation after this timeout. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We're reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now let's get down to business. Our guest on the show today, in fact, we have two guests on the show today. The first one we have joining us here, right here in the studio, is Abimbola Ajinibi. He is an investment banker. It's good to have you again on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Annabelle.
Happy New Year. Sure, I'm blessing you this year.
Wishing you a prosperous 2023. It's a year that a lot is going to happen positively.
I agree. Great to have you. Yeah. All right, so joining us via Skype is Adeyemi Pelumi. He is a financial and risk expert. It's good to have you on the show. So.
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Great. All right, before I even go, Happy New Year to you. I'm sure I've not even seen you like this year, though. Let me just leave it at that.
Happy New Year to you too.
Great. All right, let's go straight to our discussion for today. But we'll start with you, Abimbola. Now, we recall that a few days ago, a few weeks ago, late last year, we had this discussion about the Cbn'S cashless policy, the Naira redesign and all, and where we talked about I asked you how timely it is, if it is the step in the right direction, if it is timely, and you replied in the affirmative and said yes, that you give thumbs up to it. Now, with all of this dust and falls that has been raised these few days or these few weeks, do you actually still, are you still staying on that affirmation, or you've decided to rescind? Let's start with that.
Interesting, thank you. I would say that it's still a step in the right direction. Of course, for such the monetization policy, you expected to see hiccups here and there. I mean, for instance, certain things ought to have been done, before the cash limit policy becomes effective.
Okay.
In my view, the new currency shouldn't have been made available before the cash limit becomes effective.
Oh, okay. But you didn't tell us this one last time,
well, because we never expected the hiccups that we are currently experiencing. For instance, during the Yuletide season, a lot of people use that opportunity, to even mop up the new currency, because there was no limit as at then, So it then dawned on expert that the limit should have been effective before the availability of the new currency. So the cart before the horse.
Ah, okay. So now a few days ago, most of the national dailies actually reported that, they said in Lagos, over 27% Lagosians are yet to see the banknote, even in Abuja, and even a lot of places, they're yet to see the new banknote. Some of the things that the policies that they were trying to run away from, you still find them happening, even with the new Naira notes. Why?
Well, I'll say that to start with, there's really no need for agitation. For such policy, initial hiccups is actually expected. Even for me, the first day, that's the 9th of January, when cash limit becomes effective. I went to the bank and I tried the ATM, and it dispensed the old note.
Even up until now?
No, yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I did a random check. I went to a bank ATM, and I was able to get 1,000 bill, and that's another issue that we'll talk about. I think CBN is backtracking on the limit on the ATM machine for now. There has been an amendment in terms of the daily limit from 20,000 Naira limit per day to 100,000. So there's going to be a bit challenge in terms of the maximum bill that the ATM can dispense. Initially CBN put it at 200. Yes, but that's going to be a bit. It's going to be a bit challenging. I see a bit of tweak in terms of this policy. Implementation is usually a problem. But I believe that by the time the policy is fully implemented, by the end of this month, if there's no extension anyway, in the next 3 months, we should be able to settle and move on.
Oh, really? Well, how about, because you talked about the Naira hoarding, and still, even up until now, that was one of the things that the central bank feared. Up until now, you still go to parties and then you see them, those selling. They even have the new Naira notes, even before most of us have it them. And then also they talked about politicians so that they can actually mop up cash. But these days, even the politicians, they're still giving themselves a run for their money, even with their new Naira notes. How were they able to get all of that cash?
Well, you still expect that initially you will have some compromise,
From the banks?
Because there was no limit, there was still no limit. Until this Monday, until 9th. There was no limit all throughout December But the good thing is that even the availability was still very limited in circulation, So then, of course, some will still take advantage of that. For me, it was even a struggle before I was able to get 500, but I was able to get some in December. But now that the limit is effective, I'm sure that to a very large extent, these abuses will be curtailed.
We'll definitely go back to that. So let's come to you, Yemi. For you, is this policy a step in the right direction? Is it actually timely? Does it look like a policy that will meet the objectives of its formulation and implementation, or is it just a no-brainer to you?
Yeah, thank you very much. Redesigning the currency at this hour or at this time in question, I would say it's not ideal. Yeah, it's a good thing. When you want to redesign your currency, there are reasons for you to have done that. There are reasons or there are bases that will warrant you to redesign your currency. And I would have said that the timing is wrong, the transition is short, and it could bring in more harms to the poor people of Nigeria. And the reason I'm saying this is that if you want to redesign, I could remember the first time the currency was redesigned in Nigeria was during the Civil War in 1968. And the reason why the currency was redesigned then was because, you have two parties at the other side of each other, the government and then the eastern part of Nigeria. And they found out that probably the currency has been mopped up by some parts in the eastern part of Nigeria. And so the federal government decided that it is time for us to redesign so that at least we can have more power than the opposition party, which is the Eastern Brothers as at that time. And that was why the currency was redesigned. So as at that time, it's timing, it's okay because you are in a civil war and you need some level of, how would I call it, level of power on your side as a government then. So, but now, if you want to redesign, because the 4 reasons that the CBN gave was 1, to reduce inflation, also to mop up excess cash from the system.
Circulation.
And then, and also to reduce the power of the insurgency in terms of kidnapping. So if they are doing it because of that, it's okay. Then the timing should have come earlier, not now. Because insurgency and kidnapping is not now. It has on for almost 2 years.
But they say better late than never, so.
Yeah, exactly.
No. We've seen a lot of people paid ransom to kidnappers. So if CBN have this notion in mind that, okay, one of the major reasons is because of the kidnappers and the ransom being paid, so that at least they will be harmless, they won't have money to purchase more ammunition, then they should have done it earlier and then give time for the populace. You can't start something December and give a deadline of January 31st for redesigning of your national currency. We're talking about over 200 million Nigerians. And as I speak to you, some people don't have this currency, like Mr. Abimbola said. To get it, you must know someone, and you must know someone, and you must know someone who can give it to you. So that was why I said the transitioning is short, the timing is wrong. Because the timing, to me, has given me an insight into why CBN redesigned this currency. And it's not what they give and what they gave. The timing, if they want the timing to be extended towards February, I would say it's not politically motivated. But if the timing is January 31st, everybody must bring in the old notes and then it ends, then it's politically motivated. There's a reason for it. So it is not, one of the core functions of CBN is redesigning of the currency in operational arms of the CBN, which is good. But the timing and transition is short. You can't redesign your currency within 1 month and want it to be spread evenly within that 1 month. It is not done.
All right.
They should consider the risk. They should consider the the deliverables of those currencies to the end users. And who are the end users? You and I. The government officials are not the end users. They go to CBN, they get it. In fact, CBN gives them directly. So what about me and you,
Really?
the mama lodgers in our Eco, and then the business, the ordinary businessman in the street? How would they get it? So yes, like I said, it has the positive impact. It also has a negative impact. The positive impact is that, and I will mention this, that was why I said it's good. The positive impact is that CBN doesn't know the amount of currency outside their jurisdiction. They don't have record of it. So they need to redesign and mop up in.
Okay.
So fine. But then the transitioning is wrong.
All right.
That is my point about it.
All right. So now you mentioned, you said the transition and then the timing is actually wrong. So help us, put us through, what are the economic implications of the Naira redesign policy to you?
The economic implication is, like I said earlier, that is positive to me and it's also negative. The positive aspect I can draw out, which is a major line, it's trying to mop up the excess cash out there, which CBN doesn't have a record on. And what this does is that CBN has a control of the currency now because it has been redesigned. I'm seeing a lot of videos where people bring in old 1,000 Naira notes stocked in Ghana must go, stocked in iron metals, rusting, you know, and you can see cash. You can even see banks trying to change their operational motive, operational activities, coming to work on Saturdays because cash have been brought in, day out. So that shows that CBN has lost the record of excess cash out there. But yes, like I said, the resigning is positive because now they can have control over it. They know exactly what is coming in through the banks. But the negative aspect of it is for them to redesign in a short period and also trying to distribute in a short period. The implication is high inflation, in fact, hyper inflation.
Okay.
So it has pros and also it has the cons as well too.
So if we keep hearing, in fact, we've heard of cashless policies, not even now. It's not the first time. But then, are we actually ready for this cashless policy? Have we been able to connect the right dots and cross the right T's and I's?
It's capital no for me, and I'm going to explain this because you see, before I traveled out of Nigeria, I spent over 40 years in Nigeria. I have phobia for heights. So it is when I got to this place that I knew that cashless policy works outside Nigeria, not in Nigeria.
Oh
yes.
No. Why did you say so?
And I will give you a very good example. Where I work, a colleague of mine I've not seen check for over 27 years. Check for over 27 years. A colleague of mine has not seen check for over. In fact, I do training on check where I work every week for them because they don't see it. What they do is transfers, fast payments, digital payments, transfers, credit card, debit card, and that is cashless environment. In Nigeria, as I'm talking to you, before I left Nigeria, I only have just one debit card. I don't use credit card. I can count a lot of people that uses credit card in Nigeria. So most of all those cash that are being mopped up by CBN now, tell me where are they coming from? All those cash that are being mopped up now, stored in the Ghana must go, stored in iron bags, stored, where are they coming from? So, and we've been talking about cashless environment since when? Over 10 years ago. Even the payment systems that are supposed to be working efficiently, which are supposed to support the cashless environment, are not 100% working. I could remember the last time I had a conversation with the CBN officials. The the network connectivity for banks was supposed to be 96%. But as I speak to you, because a lot of selfish interest, you will see telecoms fighting banks on share profits, on how to share the interest or the revenue on either their fast payments or on how to use their apps, their customers using their apps. And before you know it, you find that the network is going down and then you can't even transact. As I speak to you,
and then the customers are left to suffer for it.
Yes, I have an app that I'm using here. Throughout last week Saturday, I couldn't use it. I wanted to transfer to my mom from my Nigerian account to my mom's account in Nigeria. I couldn't do it. What I did was to change pounds and transfer directly from my pounds account here to the Naira account. So where is the cashless environment we're talking about? For cashless environment to work, you need 100% connectivity because those are the instruments you're going to use. So telecoms needs to be brought in. There must be a synergy between the banks and the telecoms or any provider that the banks are using.
All right.
And those are the areas that we are still missing it out from.
All right. That's so some things I hear. I'm going to bring the question to you. That some things that he said, I don't know if you agree with it. He said the CBN that they don't even have an idea of how much money they have in circulation. But I remember they said they have about 80% of monies in circulation. That's why they're trying to mop up the cash and return them back. And then he talked about, he said, I hate to use that word advanced countries, but then he said in the other parts, cashless policy is possible. It is doable, but in Nigeria, we are not ever ready. Do you agree?
Well, I want to disagree with him with that.
Okay.
If you look at where we are today and where we were as of 10 years ago, you agree with me that we've made a lot of progress. And talking about when is the best time to do it? The best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. If we keep moving this, we won't get it done. Cashless policy started about in 2012. And people had enough, notice and opportunity to try and catch up with the development, in the cashless society. But the way we are wired, we wait until the last minute before we try to catch up.
Even now, so many people are waiting until the last minute before they return their money.
Exactly. I mean, the issue of the PVC, people wait till the last minute. So if we can't want to do things the same way and we expect a different result. In developed countries, so talking about time frame, honestly, I believe that 100 days is enough.
100 days? 100
days, yes. It's enough for you to return your cash to the bank. What are you doing with cash that you're seeking for an extension? Recall that the issue of the currency redesign and the cash limit, there's a nexus between that. So the idea is that we want to make people to bring the cash that out of the system, to bring it back to the system, and then to also ensure that going forward, CBN is able to account for the cash in the system. And I mentioned a while back that the only reason why people want to transact in cash is the fact that they don't want anybody to know what they are doing. Either you don't want to pay tax, or you want to do money laundering, or you just want to do something that you don't want the system to capture. And we can't expect to have a situation like this in our economy and we want to grow. Banditry, kidnapping, and a whole lot of vices are going on because of cash.
But then you actually said that people don't want people to know what they are doing, especially those that want to evade tax. Last Christmas, when I went to the market, in fact, all the places I shopped, most people prefer to get cash. They're not interested in transfer. In fact, at some point, I even I had to do POS transfer, and then the money, I was deducted but then my account was deducted rather, but then it was not paid. So when I went to the bank, they said I should wait for another 15 working days before it can be reversed. So these are the kind of things that people would definitely talk about, go through. When I even went to the bank, in fact, like 80% of the customers had the same issue. They were complaining about the same problem. So even the market people are not ready to go cashless. They want the money. And like he said, there must be a synergy between the telecommunications company and the CBN. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, in the first instance, what I believe the CBN should have done, one of the things they should have done in the beginning is sensitization.
Yes, I was going to talk about that too.
They should have done sensitization in terms of what people should expect, and then also sensitizing people on the future of the new currency, because we'll come to that. I understand that some people reject the currency.
Really? Yes, they do.
This is fake.
It's fake.
And I begin to wonder, how would you know which one is fake and which one is, when you don't even know the genuine currency? How would you know whether it's fake or so? And then in terms of downtime, you know, turnaround time for resolution when there are transaction failure. I think it used to be, it takes so long in the past, and recently CBN mandated banks and operators that resolution should be 48 hours. And then again, when we talk about failure, I'm not sure it happened all the time. Okay?
But especially that Christmas time, I think it happened so many times.
How come I never experienced that?
Maybe you're just one out of 100. Probably because you're an investment banker.
But really, why saying that it's also important that the telecom and the bank and then that intermediary, I've forgotten what they call them, they need to do more in terms of connectivity and ensuring that transactions are very smooth. Because if we are going cashless, it means that a lot of people will move into that platform. You know, so it means that they will witness more activity than what they witnessed in the past. So they need to do more, because ultimately the cost will even have to come down, because you have more people doing it, and economies of scale should come into play, and then we should have.
Do things ever come down in Nigeria? Like prices go up and then you're waiting for it to come down, but it's till forever, it never comes down. So at the end of the day, it might be the customers that will definitely bear the brunt. No,
but for transfer, for interbank transfer, we used to pay more. We used to pay more, but now it has been reduced. It has been scaled. Certain amounts you pay, maybe 10, 12, 25 naira, 50, 53 naira is the maximum. And you agree with me that that's fair. So if you are transferring, say, 5 million, the maximum you pay is 53 naira.
And if I'm transferring 1,000?
You're transferring 1,000.
Is it the same?
No. If you are transferring 1,000, you shouldn't pay more than 12 naira also.
Okay. All right, so now we got particular reports here saying that, okay, says, stating that bankers are making bricks businesses over lapses as VIPs mop up available volume now. Let's hear directly from you. How is that? How does that actually happen? Because I recall when we had this conversation last time, I asked you if the bankers, their customers, their most preferred customers, they don't have to go through the back door and then decide to mop up all the cash at the end of the day, especially the new Naira notes.
So as of today, I'm not sure that is possible. As of today,
why? I'm
not sure that is possible, because there's a policy in place, and of course, weekly return is done. So if you are withdrawing money from the bank, there's a limit to which you can withdraw on a daily basis. For individual, the maximum you can withdraw is 100,000.
So are you saying that some high-profile customers that they might not be given like preferential treatment, and the bankers just decide to move cash in their favor?
How would that be done?
It is impossible.
How would that be done? How would that be done? It's going to be very difficult, because as I said, even for those that will withdraw above the daily limit, of course there's a room for that, and of course fee applied. And in addition to that, the CBN require a report on such transaction. So there's no way you can. So then again, it's we also want to see CBN in terms of implementation. We want to see the regulator, the CBN, doing more in terms of supervision. And being a banker, I'll tell you that CBN do not joke with supervision. If you ask any banker, when it comes to banking supervision, CBN does that very well. So it's going to be, maybe in the past, perhaps it's possible in the past because there was no limit. So you mentioned as of December, it's possible a big man will walk into the bank and talk to the manager and is able to grab all the mint. But as at today, now that the cash limit is effective, that is no longer going to be possible.
Mm. Okay, so I hear you say that you've actually started seeing the new notes in the ATMs. Then we got reports a few days ago saying that the CBN summoned the banks to ensure that they put the new notes in their ATMs. Why do they have to wait for that summon? Were they hoarding it?
Well, but it also depends on availability. If the currency is not available
to the banks,
yes.
So how come it's available to the hoarders in parties? How did they get it?
Before the cash limit. We just talked about that. The new currency was made available, or the different notes were made available prior to the cash limit, which should, in my view, that shouldn't have been the case. Because you already created, and I'm sure maybe CBN did not envisage that will happen. So when you make the new note available and there's no limit, then it's at the discretion of the bank or the branch manager to utilize the cash as it wishes. So what should have been done? The new currency should have been made available, effective when the limit kicks off.
Mm.
So, but I'm sure no much harm has been done. The limit is in place. So, and we don't expect to see such abuses anymore.
Mm. Do you agree with that, Yemi? We don't expect to see such abuses anymore. And then he said that the CBN were not aware of. I'm really wondering how the Apex banks are not aware of some things. What are your thoughts on that?
At least before I left Nigeria, I've worked for over 15 years in the commercial banks, and I know how it goes. And I'm going to be very, very plain here. Very, very, very plain. Mr. Abimbola opinion about the other time, I slightly agree with him when he said if we don't start 20 years ago and then probably we're starting now.
Now.
That is okay. Slightly agree with me. They said 1,000 journeys start with a step. But on the aspect of the CBN not aware of the intricacies of the new Naira notes, either mint, either the new redesign notes, I would say I totally disagree with him. I've been in a party where I did an investigative journalism, and I actually called a lady and I told the lady, give me 200 Naira new notes. How much is it? He said it's 1,000 Naira. And I said, I'll give you 10,000 Naira. How do you get your notes? I also want to do the business. And he told me, directly from CBN. It's confirmed, directly from CBN. And like I said, I heard when you guys were talking about some banks not using the ATM to dispense the new redesigning notes. Even when the new redesigning notes were not in, we're still using the old notes. We hardly see mint in any ATM. There are some specialized areas that you will go to if you want to get a mint. And I'll give you those areas. And let Mr. Abimbola confirm. In Abuja, you will see it in any ATM around the House of Assembly or government officials. You will see it, any banks that has ATM around some preferential, maybe like all those big areas, maybe like district 1, all those confirmed government areas, residential areas. And likewise in Lagos, you will see a new note in Victoria Island ATMs. Maybe I just say Adeogun. You'll see it at law school. If you go to an ATM in law school, you'll see it there. There are some specialized ATMs. If you go to Mushin, you can't see a mint in an ATM in Mushin.
Why is that? What's the reason for that?
And I'll get down to the nitty-gritty of this. You see, because, most of the ATMs used by the banks, they have graves. There are some that you can make cash deposits. Those ones you will see it on VI. You can't see it on the mainland. There are some that you can't deposit cash. Those are the ones you will see in the rugged areas, because those ones are like almost 10 years used abroad before buying it into this country. I managed ATM when I was in my former bank. We had almost 774 ATMs. Each time I do a report, there was a period I did a report that our ATM are not effectively managed. And when I did that report to the stakeholders, one of the ogas called me and said, "Guy, do you still need your job?" I said, "Yes, sir. Go and redesign that report. I don't care what you've seen or what you've noticed.
Oh, wow.
Redesign it." And he gave me an insight that there's the chunk of the ATM managed by the bank. The company that managed that ATM belongs to the MD of the bank. So if the ATM is functioning very well or is not functioning very well, it's none of my business to report it, as long as I need my job. So see, like I said earlier on, and I still stand on it. Yes, the time is now for us to look and probably block all those loopholes. We can start now. But the structure, we don't have it, and I still stand on that. We don't have that structure. For the new notes to come out from CBN, the banks pay. I'm telling you the truth. Let Mr. Abimbola go and confirm. For a new note to come out from CBN to banks, they pay. They pay. For the old ones, for you to get a mint into your machine for the old notes, before the redesigning, the bank pays to get a new note.
You mean the commercial banks?
Yes.
Oh, really?
I work in a bank. Yeah. These ones are not documented, though. They are not. So they pay. So you must know someone. It's either your treasurer is closer to someone in CBN and he quickly, "Oga, please now, we need mint. Give." And before you know it, it's out. So, and those notes doesn't go out to the people that need it most. You find out that it is the big ones, even the executive directors in the banks, that have access to it. They don't spend old notes, they spend new notes. So I have worked in head office, I have worked in the branches, I have seen how it works. The limit withdrawals is automated at each branches. So nobody can play around that unless you want to be charged for excess payment. But there are other structures that the same bank or the relationship officer will also tell you what to do. I have seen a situation when I was in control where I had to give queries to staff. Why are you using your money for a deposit of 500,000 naira, 600,000 naira, 300,000 on daily basis when your salary is not coming on daily basis? And I found out that some of them are collecting cash deposit for a customer, and at the end of the day, they withdraw and go and give.
Oh, really?
So that was why I said the structure is not there. The structure is not being truthful. If you want this thing to work, the structure needs to be solid. And that is what I said, and that is what I stand on.
You're going to say something?
Yes. So I was going to respond to what he said, that's the structure that the policy is putting in place now.
So why now? They never noticed it before now?
Well, I said it the other day, that the truth is that the Cbn has been part of the mess in the past. And they are the best to clean the mess.
Okay.
They understand the system very well. They know the intricacies of the game. And they are the best. So for them to come up with these policies, they didn't just pluck the policy from the space. they came up with these policies based on their understanding of the system. They know how the game is. So that's why, for me, I'm totally in support of this policy. And hopefully, in the next 3 months, let's see how it plays out.
All right, let's come back to you, Adeyemi. Before we go on a quick break, we'd like to quickly attend, just get your would like to get your response rather. Now, we've seen that you actually trust Nigerians and crews. At some point, there was a trend of people trying to wash the new Naira notes, because I saw a particular post on social media where someone said that her sister mistakenly washed the money in her pocket and it completely bleached off. So, like, I'm wondering why that happened, why that had to happen, in fact. So why can't we just have it in the polymer form instead of putting it in your pocket and then you're scared of washing off the pocket, and then what if, especially when that's your last cash, why don't we have it in another form so that we don't have this kind of hiccup?
I'm sure CBN would have analyzed those textures that you've talked about. I'm sure, and they would have looked at the cost of each of these textures.
Okay.
You know, printing the Naira in different textures also has some qualities and also some expenses to go along with it. So, and I'm sure they must have picked the best choice. However, you know, I've not seen it.
So is this actually the best they can get?
No, that's not my point. I'm still going ahead. I've not seen it, and I've not seen how it looks like as well too. I can only see it on channels through my TV. But if it is, if it's washed, when you mistakenly wash with your clothes or with anything, then it's not the best. Okay. Your currency should be your national pride. I could remember the one that was designed by Awolowo then in 1973 was regarded as, it was done in Nigeria because CBN has no reason or no justification. Yes, we can say as at that time there was quality materials in Nigeria, let me put it that way. But compared to now you can see fake, you can see original. Like what my father used to tell me. Yes, like what my father used to tell me was that if you don't buy fake, you can't differentiate fake from original. So you need to buy fake and you need to buy original. So if CBN has done this the very first time, I think what they need to do now is to take a feedback from the population or from the audience or from the users, and then go back and ask those people that they've given that contract to, because it's a national disgrace for you to have your currency, you know, not pass through some test
and I would like to respond to that.
So they should take the feedback from the users and then go back to whoever they have contracted that contract to and ask them some questions. Why this, why that? What can be done about it? So they need to go back and redefine and then restructure and roll out again.
All right, let's quickly get your response. Is this actually the best that we can get? And he talked about there's the fake and then there's the original quality. Did they use the fake quality to print this money? Why people, you can't even wear it on your white shirt when you're going to work and then wash it off?
So when they talk about fake and original quality, who knows the fake and who knows the original quality? Right, like I saw on the social media, I saw a video of someone using wipes on the 500 Naira bill, and you know, some of the color came off. So fortunately, I had the new 500 Naira bill with me, and I had the old 500 Naira mint with me as well. And I tried that, and it's the same result.
Both of them? Both
of them, same result.
So are you saying over time, it might decide, it would not wash off?
I went further to discuss with a friend who was in the UK as at then. And she took £5, tried that on £5 as well, and it came out. You know, so you see, we just try to, we'll try to rubbish initiative and things for just no reason. And have you seen the 500 Naira bill?
Yes, I have.
Is there anything wrong with that? In my view.
In my view.
In my view.
I'm not sure you want to get my view.
Well, maybe it's not multicolor. And my brother will talk. I don't know. Is it in US or in?
Is it the UK?
Okay, in the UK. Okay, so if you, though I think it's in polymer, but if you look at it, it's not multicolor. Maybe it's green and a few color, and that's the 500 bill we have now. Though the previous 500 Naira bill.
Are we trying to copy the UK currency?
No,
is that what you're saying?
Even the greenback, the USD, what color? It's just green, maybe dark green, white, dark, not colorful. Because there is also cost, as you mentioned. There is cost associated with printing currency. How much do we want to spend on printing currency? And
so we had to go for the one that is cost effective?
It was even printed locally, unlike what we do before. So we need to watch our cost, and then we also need to, because when we print locally, we are also creating jobs. Okay, we are keeping our money within our economy. But that is not to say that quality should be compromised. I've seen the currency, and it's not less inferior to the previous currency that we've had. So I think it's okay. But as I said, if there's a feedback, I was discussing with someone yesterday, and he said that it looks like fake. And I said to him that how does fake currency look like? The futures are there, and those futures are not in the fake currency. And again, that's why it's also important that CBN should do a lot of sensitization. I know they are doing it now. As of 2-3 days ago.
2-3 days ago, I was going to say that. I just started seeing, but it should have been before now, even before they formulated those policies.
They should have done that before now. They shouldn't allow the public to start ridiculing, this initiative before. So they should do more.
How about the commercial banks? Do they need to do any kind of sensitization, especially for customers who are coming in to pick in cash?
Well, I think they have the Association of Bankers. They should be responsible for doing that. They should put up, even the media, you media should do that as well. Let's educate people so that they know the futures to look out for. Because one of the reasons that CBN gave for this redesign is to fight against counterfeiting. So in that case, it is important.
But did you notice that there's some people are complaining of fake? Some people said they've actually seen the fake of the new Naira notes.
Anything will have, even USD, pounds, there's nothing people will try fake.
So even before the money actually went to circulation, the Ajayi people have already started their work.
Of course, if they have a copy, they will produce a fake. But the truth is that no matter how they fake it, it can't be genuine. The futures of the genuine currency, those features are there, and this is what CBN should be doing. They should educate people. They should let people know the futures to look out for. For the 1,000 bill, I think there's a particular triangle. It cannot be fake. So but they should let people know. Let the market women know. Let the traders. Most importantly, the rural people, because the rural people don't know what is going on. So it's important that the CBN, not just CBN alone. National Orientation Agency should go to the rural area. They should educate people. They should let people know the future of the new currency, because the rural people are likely to be the target of this fraudster.
I quite agree with you. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll round up this conversation with Adeyemi, Pelumi, and Abimbola Ajinibi. Don't move on, we'll be right back.
CBSE have a lot to do in terms of agency banking, POS, entrench it in Naira wallet. So you should have, even if they don't have a bank account, they can have in Naira wallet. So CBN needs to do more of developing infrastructure, emphasizing on how they can improve on the channels to ensure the smooth transition.
So it is not actually time bound. They still have time to do a lot of adjustments.
Yes, and then again, I really see not much of a difference where we are today in terms of what the CBN has agreed as a limit now.
All right.
100 Naira per day and 100,000 per day.
Okay.
How much was it? I think it was about 130 or 150 Naira limit per day. So for a family, if you have 400,000 cash in a week, what are you doing? So I really don't see this policy affecting ordinary people at the moment.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, it's a smooth transition.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation, and we're reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've missed out on a whole lot, but then the conversation is almost actually over. We've been chatting with Abimbola Ajinibi. He is an investment banker, and we also have joining us via Skype from the UK is Adeyemi Pelumi, who is a financial and risk expert. All right, let's get your rounding thoughts on this, Adeyemi Pelumi. Now, Father, let's divert a little bit and talk about POS, and that's in fact that's part of that. What do they even call it? Is it the fintech? Yes, that they look like another fresh challenge that is brewing. Like we saw a particular report stating that when you withdraw 10,000 naira from the POS, you have to pay 300 naira, and I'm even wondering why. Even when we were paying 200, at some point it was really annoying. Not to talk of adding another money to it. So is it actually the challenge from the telecoms communications or what?
For the POS to pay 3 naira, is that what you said?
300 naira for every 10,000 naira withdrawal.
Right. It varies. It varies. It's not constant. It depends on the bank. It depends on the agreement they had with the service provider. So, like I said, it varies. Before I could travel out of the country, I think I used POS roughly, and I noticed that on each POS that I'm trying to buy one or two things from, there's one that charged me 300, and I told her, I said, why? That because I know the maximum or the minimum should be 100 naira. And I said, well, how come yours is 300? And I looked forward and I saw another person. I said, and I waved to the person. I said, please, I want to make
at some point, we actually thought that it's the location.
It's not the location.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the location. It's more or less the Nigerian thing. You know, you start a business and you want to make profits immediately. You're not thinking about how long you're going to sustain that business for a period of time. You just want to make your profit immediately. Any amount that you've invested into that business, you just want it that day or even that month or that year. So you're not looking at the organic growth of the company. So I think it's an individual thing. And like Mr. Abimbola rightly said that CBN needs to redesign, let me use that word, redesign Nigerian mind in actualizing the cashless environment. And CBN
and the new redesigned notes.
Yes, they need to redesign us. You know, they need to redesign our minds towards that. It's not high profit that matters, but the quality service and then the longer period that your company is in existence that matters. Because even business philosophers nowadays have said profit doesn't matter now, but the existence of your companies that matters, how you can survive within that period. So for 300 naira, like I said, on POS for 10,000 naira, it's an individual thing.
Oh, okay.
Though it might be an agreement between the bank and the service provider that is causing whoever is using the POS to inflate their own so that they can have enough profit, because the bank also are also faulty in this aspect. And I'm going to give an example because when I was in Nigeria and I was working for a bank, I noticed that the bank takes 1.5% of any transactions, quote me, any transactions done on a POS on a merchant or on their own merchants or their own customers. So for example, if a merchant has like 10 people coming or trooping into his shop to make withdrawals, and they are making 200 naira, 1,000 naira, and you are taking 1.5% of that transactions. And at the end of the month or at the end of the daily transactions, the bank take a lump sum of that particular percentage and then take it away. What is left for the merchants to work on? So you will see the merchant wants to increase the gap. If you're charging me 1.5 of the transactions, okay, let me also charge whoever is using my ATM almost 100% or 150% of the charges, so that invariably, you take your 1.5, I still have my 100% profit. So, like I said, CBN needs to redesign here, fast payments here in UK, here, there are no charges. And that is why I said cashless environment would thrive hard outside Nigeria, because if you're projecting something to the people, there must be something to entice them to accept it. If you're telling me to move to do a cashless environment in Nigeria and you are charging me when I'm using my debit card, then I would rather go for cash where nobody will charge me and take my money and then go and spend it. So those things should be looked into and reduced. And that is the things that are going against the cashless policies.
All right. All right, let's get your landing thoughts, Abimbola, Ajinibi. Now the customers seek 6 months extension of the January 31st deadline. Do you actually see this happening? And now you have the Central Bank of Nigeria, they're being put under pressure to extend the note demonetization. Do you see this happening? After all, the whole policies for the same citizens.
As at yesterday, as at today, the CBN governor is still insisting that the 100-day windows is enough. And of course, partly, one of the reasons for the monetization and the cash limit is to avoid vote buying. Okay? So anything that will extend to the election period, I'm not sure the CBN will. And of course, you could see that politicians are not very happy.
But I heard some people say I could actually, since they've increased the limit, especially for companies, for corporate organizations, I could just decide to use my business.
So how much do you want to do on your business? How much in a month? How much does it come to in a month?
You're going to give.
So, and if you draw the cash, remember that even if we bust that limit, the CBN requests for monthly returns from the bank, and it's the whole idea is to ensure that. Recall that, I mean, this is political angle. The president said it during 2019 election that one of his legacy is to ensure that people, I mean, that our election is not based on money. And one of his legacies is that to ensure that there's no vote buying. So
to deliver free, fair, and transparent elections.
Exactly. Such that we don't give shishi, let's have a free playing ground. And that is why they have that deadline as January 31st. And the politicians are putting pressure that they should extend. And the question you ask is that, why is the 100-day window not enough for you to return with currency? You see, one may want to compare a situation with currency change in the US, in the UK. You still spend old currency. But we have a peculiar situation. I'm not sure that in the UK that you see a truck carrying old Naira notes with bank wrapper as far back as 10 years ago. You will not see that. So we have a peculiar nature, and the kind of cash that you have at home that you will not be able to bring to the bank within 100 days, then one begins to wonder, what do you want?
So is it, some people have actually said that at least that should be a window for us to maybe get, have expired currencies, so that from XYZ day, time or season, you can't use this particular money again because it has expired. Is it possible?
Now, by January 31st, the whole 1,500 and 200 bills, they are expired.
No, I mean the new notes now. Maybe there should be like a time peg from 2023 to maybe 2025.
Why do we want to go that route? No, there's no need.
If we want to copy, maybe we should copy.
And the whole lessons. And again, I also believe that one of the reasons why we do not have abundance of currency at the moment is maybe expectation of the CBN is that we will cut over quickly to cashless situation. Like where my brother is, I'm sure you will hardly find people carrying cash around, because they have other platform that they run cashless society. And the statistic put on Bank Nigerian in a rural area to about 60%. So it then means that whatever it takes to bring those people, because CBN'S have a lot to do in terms of agency banking, POS, entrench it in Naira wallet. So ensure that even if they don't have a bank account, they can have in Naira wallet. So CBN needs to do more of developing infrastructure, emphasizing on how they can improve on the channels to ensure the smooth transition.
So it is not actually time bound. They still have time to do a lot of adjustments.
Yes, and then again, I really see not much of a difference with where we are today in terms of what the CBN has agreed as a limit now.
All right.
100 Naira per day and 100,000 per day.
Okay.
How much was it? I think it was about 130 or 150 Naira limit per day. So for a family, if you have 400,000 cash in a week, what are you doing? So I really don't see this policy affecting ordinary people at the moment.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, it's a smooth transition.
All right, then. Let's leave it there. Thank you so much for your time with us. Abimbola Ajinibi, investment banker. It's always a pleasure having these talks with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you so much, Adeyemi Pelumi, for joining us via Skype. It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you also.
I can hear you.
You're welcome. All right, viewers, that's where we can end this program. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have been chatting with Abimbola Ajinibi, who is an investment banker, and also Adeyemi Pelumi. He is a financial and risk expert. It's been a wonderful time here on The Conversation. I will see you again next time. Keep watching The Conversation till I come your way again from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours, and God bless Nigeria.